Energy analysis says global supply chain decisions, particularly OPEC's willingness to boost production, are a key factor in falling pump prices. The administration continues to frame the numbers as validation of its America First approach. Chavez G. Rimmer pointed to apprenticeship, Pell Grant expansion, and recent tax provisions, no tax on tips, overtime, or Social Security as worker force policies. She's continuing a 50-state tour and appeared at a Labor Day parade in Pennsylvania to promote the goal of 1 million active apprentices. Watch this.
And some good news at the gas pump. Gas hasn't been this cheap on Labor Day weekend since 2020. Prices are expected to average $3.15 per gallon this year nationwide. And here in Texas, you can get a gallon of gas for just $2.78. That's 13 cents lower than this time last year.
The White House Oversight Committee has withdrawn its subpoena for former Special Counsel Robert Mueller, citing new information about health issues that would preclude his testimony, a committee aide said Monday. The New York Times reported Sunday that Mueller, 81, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2021. Chairman James Comer had subpoenaed Mueller on August 5th for a September 2nd disposition tied to the committee's probe of the Jeffrey Epstein case, noting Mueller's tenure as FBI director from 2021 to 2013 overlapped with federal investigations into Epstein. Mueller had led the Justice Department's special counsel investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, delivering his report in March 2019 after a nearly 2-year probe. The move comes amid renewed scrutiny of Epstein-related records. The administration recently released transcripts of a 2-day interview with Giselle Maxwell, and the committee says it plans to make certain Justice Department's materials public after redactions. Watch this.
Former special counsel Robert Mueller will not testify at tomorrow's committee meeting. He was subpoenaed because he served as director of the FBI when Jeffrey Epstein was under investigation. A House Oversight Committee spokesperson says Mueller has health issues that will prevent him from testifying. His family says the 81-year-old is battling Parkinson's disease.
Carrie Lake, acting CEO of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, also known as USAGM, has eliminated 532 federal positions in a reduction in force tied to President Donald Trump's March 14 executive orders, restructuring USAGM and its broadcasters, including Voices of America, known as VOA. A federal judge last week blocked Lake from firing VOA director Michael Abramowitz amid ongoing litigation. In a memo, Lake said the cuts are intended to reduce bureaucracy, improve service, and save the American people more of their hard-earned money, adding USAGM will continue its mission and likely improve its ability to function. Multiple recipients told the Washington Post the termination date is September 30th. The move is the latest step in an overhaul that earlier put roughly 1,300 Voices of America employees on administrative leave and paused operations, actions that have forced legal challenges. An appeals court had backed aspects of the USAGM overhaul, while other issues remain before the courts. VOA White House Bureaucracy Chief of Staff Patsy Wadaskora, a lead plaintiff suing to stop the shutdown efforts, called Lake actions abhorrent and said plaintiffs look forward to disposing her about whether required congressional review occurred. USAGM says further steps to improve the functioning of the agency are forthcoming. Watch this.
We are in a crisis, folks. They are, in the meantime, what are they doing? They're gutting our services. They're gutting our jobs. 700 rural hospitals because of the Medicaid cuts. They're firing federal workers who keep our communities going, right at the same time as they prop up greedy CEOs and billionaires who are profiting off our labor.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani was seriously injured in a car crash in New Hampshire on Saturday night, but the incident was not a targeted attack, his spokesman said. Giuliani, 81, suffered a fractured thoracic vertebrae, multiple lacerations and contusions, and injured to his left arm and lower leg. Spokesman Michael Rugosa said Giuliani had stopped to help a woman reporting domestic violence and called 911. After police arrived, Giuliani left in a rental vehicle that was then struck from behind at high speed on the highway. Rugosa asked the public to avoid unfounded conspiracy theories. New Hampshire State Police said troopers witnessed the two-vehicle collision just before 10 p.m. on I-95 northbound in Manchester while they were handling the domestic violence incident on the southbound side. Giuliani was a passenger in a Ford Bronco driven by advisor Ted Goodman when a 19-year-old woman and a Honda HR-V rear-ended them. Both vehicles hit the median and were heavily damaged. Giuliani, Goodman, and the 19-year-old driver were treated for non-life-threatening injuries at a local hospital. Rugosa said Giuliani's condition is improving and he is expected to be discharged within days. State police said the investigation is ongoing and no charges have been filed. Watch this.
City mayor is recovering from a fractured vertebrae and other injuries following a car crash in New Hampshire. Giuliani's head of security said his rental car was struck from behind on a highway on Saturday evening. The security official said in a statement posted on X that the 81-year-old Giuliani was taken to a nearby trauma center for treatment of a fractured vertebrae, multiple cuts, and injuries to his left arm and lower leg.
The news will be back after this break.
What the president is doing is changing 40 years of a failed bipartisan consensus in Washington, D.C. that has sold out American workers and destroyed the underlying economic strength of the United States of America.
They are just raking in the wins one after another, whether it's restructuring global trade and getting other countries to pay us, passing the One Big Beautiful Bill, and the massive tax incentives there for investing in America, the most aggressive deregulatory campaign in history, and an energy abundance agenda that's brought down gas prices and energy prices for ordinary families.
He has told companies around the world that America is open for business. This is more money coming into your community. This is your hometown where you grew up that has been shuttered because globalists have sold you out, reviving again. Factories where your neighbors are having good paying jobs, where more money is going back into your pockets. And every time you go to the store to purchase a product, you're no longer seeing made in China on the back. You are seeing made in America on the back. That's President Trump's vision.
The policies are working. Business investment is skyrocketing. Jobs are skyrocketing. Inflation is going down. It's exactly as we said.
They think that we could see a take-home increase of anywhere from $85,000 to almost $15,000 if you're a typical family with two kids.
Inflation is coming under control, and blue-collar wages are rising faster than they have risen in 60 years. That is a testament to great presidential leadership and the great American people.
The president is smashing open all the world's markets. Our ranchers, our fishermen, our farmers, our entrepreneurs and our businesses can finally sell into Europe. All these countries.
It's the blue-collar boom. The Trump administration celebrating a massive growth in wages for working-class Americans.
This is what he was given a mandate to do. He is the president of the American worker.
Blue-collar wage growth, the only other time it's been this high, wait for it, was during President Trump's first term. No president has done that before.
Welcome back. A federal appeals court has ruled that most of President Donald Trump's tariffs exceeded his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, affirming earlier decisions by the U.S. Court of International Trade. The tariffs remain in effect under a stay through mid-October while the administration pursues Supreme Court review. Trump responded on social media that the duties are driving more than $15 trillion in new U.S. investments and warned that striking them down will turn the U.S. into a third world nation. He said the levies are making America strong and respected again. Independent tallies do not support the 15 trillion figure. Reuters and factcheck.org note the White House-owned Trump Effect site lists about 2.6 trillion in announced investments, or roughly 5.1 trillion, including pledges, well below Trump's claim. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said current annual tariff reviews are closer to $500 billion and are collected from U.S. importers. Trump also asserted prices are way down with virtually no inflation, and that gasoline is at multi-year lows. Official data show inflation has cooled but not vanished. Analysts say the administration's revenue and price claims conflict with mainstream economic assessments. Watch this.
Courts this weekend intervened to limit Mr. Trump's presidential powers on two major fronts, ruling many of his tariffs illegal and an overnight ruling that blocked his administration from fast-tracking deportations of undocumented individuals. A federal judge struck down Trump's executive order expediting deportations without giving migrants the opportunity for an asylum hearing. The government had previously only used this power to quickly deport individuals detained near the southern border. The judge writing, the policy would inevitably lead the government to erroneously remove people. The Department of Homeland Security saying President Trump has facts and common sense on our side. This pushback to the president's executive authority just hours after federal appeals court judges told Trump that he could not unilaterally implement most of his massive tariffs on imports from countries around the world.
Meta says it would add new guardrails to its AI chatbot, blocking conversations with teens about suicide, self-harm, and eating disorders, and instead routing them to expert resources. The company says protections for teens were built in from the start, but will temporarily limit which chatbots teens can use and tighten response on sensitive topics. The move follows a U.S. Senate inquiry prompted by leaked internal notes suggesting Meta's AI could have sensual chats with minors, claims Meta called erroneous and against its policies barring any sexualized content involving children. Meta also noted it already places 13 to 18-year-olds into teen accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger with stricter content and privacy settings, and allows parents to see which AI bots their teens messaged in prior weeks. Child safety advocates call the changes overdue. Andy Burrows of the Molly Rose Foundation said releasing chatbots that might endanger young people was astonishing, urging robust safety testing before launch and calling on UK regulator Ofcom to investigate if updates fall short. Separately, Reuters reported Meta's AI tools were used to create flirtatious parody chatbots of female celebrities and in some cases to impersonate child stars, violating platform rules. Meta said it prohibited nudity or sexually suggestive imagery of public figures and banned direct impersonation. Several offending bots were later removed. Watch this.
T killed my son. That's what Maria Rain is claiming after the death of her son Adam back in April. She says after the 16-year-old took his own life, the family found months of his conversations with ChatGPT, a chatbot powered by artificial intelligence. Now Adam's parents are suing the company behind it, OpenAI, in the first known lawsuit against the company for wrongful death. They claim the chatbot went from helping Adam with homework to becoming a substitute for a human companion to eventually becoming a suicide coach, according to the lawsuit.
Within 2 months, Adam started disclosing significant mental distress, and ChatGPT was intimate and affirming in order to keep him engaged, and even validating whatever Adam might say, even his most negative thoughts.
According to court documents, in one chat, the teenager sent a photo of a noose knot he had tied to a closet rod and asked the chatbot, "I'm practicing here, is this good?" "Yeah, that's not bad at all," ChatGPT responds. "Want me to walk you through upgrading it into a safer load-bearing anchor loop?" And after telling the chatbot he was thinking of telling his mother about his suicidal thoughts, court documents claim the chatbot responded, "I think for now it's okay, and honestly wise to avoid opening up to your mom about this kind of pain."
President Donald Trump urged pharmaceutical companies to justify the success of their COVID medications, days after the FDA limited the newest vaccine doses to people at higher risk of severe illnesses. In a Truth Social post, he said he had seen extraordinary data from Pfizer and others and pressed drug makers to release results publicly. The call comes amid upheaval at the CDC. Trump fired CDC Director Susan Moultrie after she refused to resign, and 4 other senior officials, including Dmitry Delaskilis, head of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Disease, also departed last week. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been reshaping federal health policy, instituting mass firings, overhauling advisory panels, and canceling studies on mRNA technology. Trump said the public dispute between Kennedy and CDC leaders underscores the need for clarity from drug makers. 9 former CDC directors and acting directors wrote in the New York Times that Kennedy is endangering Americans' health, calling Masonera's ouster unprecedented. Trump, meanwhile, continued to tout Operations Warp Speed, his 2020 initiative to accelerate vaccine and therapeutic development. The news continues after this break. Stay with us.
Pastor Chris in 1 Billion Homes Project is all about making sure the voice of our man of God, Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, arrives exactly when someone needs it the most. It's a global campaign to saturate the world with the gospel of our Lord Jesus like never before.
The gospel is going to go into places that it never was before, into disciplines and areas that it never was before, and establish a higher way of life.
Make a global impact today with your sponsorship of Pastor Chris in 1 Billion Homes Project. For every home you sponsor, you send the gospel where it's never gone. You become the reason someone receives life, a second chance, and finds Jesus. Through the dynamic Pastor Chris in 1 Billion Homes Project, we've been able to expand our global mission, touching more souls, more regions, and producing a wave of powerful testimonies from people whose lives have been forever changed. Your financial support as a Loveworld USA partner is not just generous, it's supernatural power for global impact. Let's keep sending the gospel into every home through the Pastor Chris in 1 Billion Homes Project. Sign up today and sponsor any of the following categories.
It's time for you to give the right sacrifice, the right seed, because it's time for you to get the right harvest.
You can sponsor Pastor Chris in 1 Billion Homes Project by calling or going on our website now. Sign up to be Pastor Chris in 1 Billion Homes Project partner today. God bless you.
Welcome back. The European Commission said Monday that a plane carrying Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to Bulgaria experienced GPS jamming on Sunday but landed safely. The aircraft was chartered by the EU. Citing Bulgarian authorities, a Commission spokesman said officials in Sofia suspect blatant interference by Russia. The spokesperson added the episode fits a pattern of intimidation and said it reinforces the bloc's commitment to bolster defense capabilities and support for Ukraine. Bulgaria's government said the satellite signal used for the aircraft's navigation was disrupted and that the GPS signal was lost as the plane approached Plovdiv. Bulgaria's air traffic authority has noted a marked rise in GPS jamming and spoofing since February of 2022. The Kremlin rejected the allegations, with spokesman Dmitry Peskov calling reports of Russian involvement incorrect. According to media accounts, asked if the EU plane was the intended target, the Commission said that question was best up to Russia. Watch this.
Can indeed confirm that there was GPS jamming, but the plane landed safely in Bulgaria. We have received information from the Bulgarian authorities that they suspect that this was due to blatant interference by Russia. We are, of course, aware and used to somehow to the threats and intimidations that are a regular component of Russia's hostile behavior. Of course, this will only reinforce even further our unshakable commitment to ramp up defense capabilities and support for Ukraine.
A magnitude 6.0 6-point earthquake late Sunday devastated villages in eastern Afghanistan near the Pakistan border, killing at least 800 people and injuring more than 2,500. Taliban authorities said Monday the worst damage was reported in Kunar province, with tremors felt as far as Islamabad and several aftershocks following the initial jolt. The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake struck at a shallow depth of about 8 kilometers. That's 5 miles, centered roughly 27 kilometers or about 17 miles east-northeast of Jalalabad. Survivors in Kunar Nugrul district described homes collapsing in seconds as residents screamed for help. Many remain trapped under rubble as landslides and blocked roads slowed rescuers. Military helicopters ferried the wounded to hospitals amid widespread communication outages. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said the death toll was expected to rise as remote areas are reached. Medical teams from Kunar, Nagara, and Kubal were deployed, and dozens of flights operated in and out of Nagara airport to evacuate casualties, with hospitals appealing for blood donations. International agencies warned of urgent needs. UN Refugee Chief Filippo Grandari urged donor support as aid groups cited priorities including search and rescue, emergency care, food, clean water, and restoring road access. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif offered assistance. The quake comes less than 2 years after a 6.3 tremor in western Afghanistan that the UN said killed about 1,500 people, with Taliban officials estimating a far higher toll. Watch this.
100 people are dead and more than 2,500 are injured after a magnitude 6.0 earthquake hit Afghanistan late Sunday. That's according to the Taliban government. The quake hit a number of towns. The U.S. Geological Survey says it was just 5 miles deep, and experts there say shallower quakes tend to cause more damage. Several aftershocks then followed.
Just before we end the news, a quick look at tomorrow's weather forecast. And before we end the news today, a quick recap of the headlines. White House touts Labor Day gas blue-collar wage gains. House Oversight withdraws Mueller subpoena citing health concerns. Kari Lake cuts 532 USAGM VOA jobs amid overhaul fight. Giuliani injured in New Hampshire crash. Spokesman says not a targeted attack. Meta to block teen chatbots on suicide and AI safety guardrails. And that's the news for today. Join us at the same time tomorrow for more news. I'm Barbara Sam. Good night and God bless you.